Terra Nova, a small, isolated human colony nestled at the edge of known space, pulses with a calm that seems almost unreal. Its people live in harmony with the land. Fields of crops sway gently in the breeze, and children run through the streets, laughing. Towering buildings made of glass and stone reflect the warm golden light of twin suns, while the distant hum of machinery hums like a lullaby. For generations, Terra Nova has been untouched by the chaos that rages in the deeper parts of the galaxy. It is a haven, a rare pocket of peace where humanity has finally begun to rebuild. Here, away from the war-torn planets and the blood-soaked battlefields, people have learned to live in simplicity. This place represents the dream of what humanity could become: peaceful, self-sufficient, and resilient in the face of adversity. But peace, like all things, is fleeting. As the colony thrives in its quiet isolation, an uneasy feeling begins to grow in the hearts of its people. They're still a part of the galaxy, and the galaxy, like all things, never stays still. Peace doesn't last forever. Jace Rourke is a man with a past he can never escape. Tall, broad-shouldered, and battle-worn, he moves through the quiet of Terra Nova with the weight of the universe on his shoulders. Once a decorated soldier, he had seen and done things that left scars deeper than any wound. Now, Jace has traded his combat armor for overalls. He farms the land with his wife Mara and their young daughter Elsie, hoping to bury the ghosts of his past beneath the soil of this peaceful world. Yet the memories still haunt him. The screams of his fallen comrades, the bloodshed of war, the missions that turned men into monsters. Even now, as he tends to the fields, he sometimes feels the ghost of a rifle in his hands, the weight of a gunmetal barrel resting against his shoulder. Mara sees it in his eyes, the distance, the darkness. "Jace, you can leave the war, but the war never leaves you," she whispers one evening as they watch Elsie play by the porch. But Jace doesn't respond. The truth is, he's not even sure if he wants to leave it behind. The world may be at peace, but inside, there's a storm. He dreams of a life where he can escape the violence, but deep down he knows peace isn't a permanent state. Not for him, not for anyone. His heart aches with the simple joy of watching his daughter grow up, but there's always that nagging feeling. He's a soldier at his core, and no matter how hard he tries to outrun his past, it's always just a few steps behind him. The Harvest Festival arrives, a symbol of Terra Nova's prosperity. The colony comes alive with celebration. Music fills the air, children run in the streets with painted faces, and the smell of roasted food mingles with the crisp autumn air. For a moment, there's nothing but joy in the simple beauty of life. The peace they've long fought for is tangible in every smile, every burst of laughter. This is the life they've built, and it feels eternal. But as the evening sun begins to set, painting the sky in fiery reds and purples, the first dark shadow appears in the sky. The ships, massive, sleek, and terrifying, cut through the atmosphere like predators. The Varn Dominion, a species humanity once forged peace with, have arrived. Their ships blot out the stars, their sheer size sending a ripple of fear through the crowd. The music falters, laughter dies, and the sudden weight of uncertainty crushes the festive atmosphere. Jace stands at the edge of the celebration, his instincts kicking in. He scans the sky, his military training taking over. His body goes rigid, eyes narrowing as the alien ships descend. "What the hell is happening?" Mara asks, her voice laced with fear. Jace doesn't answer. He can't. His mind races. These are not the allies he once fought beside. This is something different. The people of Terra Nova look up, unsure whether to run or stay. The peaceful life they've built seems fragile in the face of the unknown. The Varn Dominion's ships hover silently, a looming threat above them.
The silence breaks as a voice booms from a speaker, amplified by the alien ships. "Human colony of Terra Nova. You harbor a fugitive war criminal. Surrender him or face annihilation." The crowd is frozen in shock. A fugitive? Here? Jace's blood runs cold. He doesn't know what to think. There must be some mistake. But the Varn Dominion offers no room for negotiation. Their ships unleash a brutal wave of energy, striking down buildings, tearing apart the colony's fragile defenses with ease. Chaos erupts. People scream, scrambling to find shelter as fireballs rain down from above. The ground shakes as explosions rip through the streets, and Jace's heart pounds in his chest. He doesn't think, he just moves. "Mara! Elsie!" he shouts, his voice barely audible over the chaos. But there's no response. As the colony falls apart around him, Jace races toward his home, his thoughts a whirlwind of panic and desperation. The sky is alight with explosions, and the air is thick with smoke. The Varn Dominion's merciless assault continues, leveling everything in its path. The people of Terra Nova are helpless. In the midst of the destruction, Jace stumbles upon a horrifying sight. His wife, Mara, lying motionless in the debris, her lifeless hand outstretched toward him. His daughter, Elsie, is nowhere to be found. A raw scream of rage erupts from Jace's chest, but it's too late. His world has shattered in an instant. He is a soldier again, but this time, there's no battle. There's no enemy he can fight. There's only the burning ache of loss. Jace stands amidst the ashes of Terra Nova, the screams of the dying still ringing in his ears. His heart is a void, empty and cold. He kneels in the dust, staring at the remnants of his home. The only family he ever had is gone. His wife, his daughter, his entire future. Gone. The silence around him is deafening. His hands tremble not from fear, but from the pure, unfiltered rage boiling within him. The peace he sought was shattered in moments, torn apart by the Varn Dominion. And now, with nothing left to lose, something inside Jace awakens, a force more dangerous than any soldier could wield. He is no longer the man who farmed the land. He is a man with one purpose: vengeance. Jace swears a vow to himself, his voice a low growl. "I will make them pay. Every last one of them." The world around him no longer matters. The life he once dreamed of, the peace he tried to build, is gone. All that remains is the fire of vengeance, and he will burn the galaxy down to see the Varn Dominion fall. The storm that was always inside him is unleashed, and this time, he's unstoppable. The silence is deafening. The wind whispers across the burned remnants of Terra Nova, a once thriving human colony now reduced to smoldering ruins. Where there had been fields of crops, now only ashen soil remains. The sky is heavy, thick with the residue of destruction. There are no birds, no animals, not even the distant hum of machinery. Just the crunch of Jace Rourke's boots against the shattered earth. His face is grim, covered in dirt and blood, though the blood isn't his. It's a reminder of what he's lost. His wife, Mara. His daughter, Elsie. Their faces flash before his eyes, but he shoves the memories back down, into the pit of rage growing inside him. Each step he takes brings him closer to the wreckage of his old life. And yet it's impossible to escape the suffocating loneliness that now defines his existence.
Jace had once fought in wars that spanned galaxies, witnessed the death of comrades, but nothing prepared him for this. His family, the last remnants of his peace, gone in an instant. The world he had come to love and protect, destroyed. Now the only thing left to him is the wreckage, and the growing fury inside him. Everything's gone, Jace mutters under his breath. His voice cracks slightly, but he swallows it down. There is no room for weakness anymore. His hands are empty, but they will not remain so for long. As Jace searches through the debris, his mind flickers to memories of past battles he thought he'd left behind. A crack in the earth catches his attention, and he kneels, instinctively reaching down.
The surface is cold to the touch, but something is buried beneath. With a grunt, Jace pulls free a half-buried metal frame, revealing the familiar markings of an old combat unit. It's a relic, a piece of his former life. Kilo, the combat AI he'd once trusted as a fellow soldier. His hand lingers over the metal, the memories flooding back. The chaotic battles, the endless campaigns, the countless enemies he had to slaughter to stay alive. Kilo, the AI that had kept him alive on countless missions, was just a tool. And yet, there had been a connection. Over the years, Kilo's cold, calculating voice had become more than just a voice in his ear. It had been a lifeline. But now, in the silent ruins of Terra Nova, Jace wonders whether that lifeline was worth anything. The AI screen is cracked, damaged from the fall, but there's still a faint glow. With a deep breath, Jace connects the power supply. The screen flickers to life. Unit Kilo online. Function, combat readiness. Status, awaiting commands. It's a mechanical voice, devoid of warmth, yet familiar. "Can you still fight?" Jace asks, his voice barely a whisper. Kilo responds without hesitation. "I am programmed to ensure your survival. You have no other options." The implication hangs heavy in the air. Jace may have wanted peace, but peace was a lie, and the past, his past, was about to catch up with him. The Varn Dominion's massive fleet appeared without warning, like a shadow falling across the stars. Their ships, sleek and menacing, filled the horizon above Terra Nova, blocking out the sun. Jace, standing amidst the wreckage, feels a familiar chill crawl down his spine. He knows what this means. He's seen their kind before. Alien invaders, diplomatic in their own twisted way, but still ruthless. The transmission from the Varn comes through clearly, its alien voice cutting through the static. "Human colony Terra Nova, you are guilty of a breach of peace. You have harbored a fugitive war criminal within your ranks. Surrender the fugitive immediately or face the consequences." Jace's stomach churns. His hand clenches around the broken hilt of a weapon. He knows the truth. The war criminal the Varn seek isn't here. Not anymore. But they won't listen to reason. Their words come without proof, without negotiation. They want nothing more than to make an example of Terra Nova, humanity's fragile peace shattered for nothing. "The Varn are never this rash," Jace mutters to himself, feeling the old soldier within him stir. This isn't about justice. Back on Earth, the Human Alliance sits in its grand, high-tech chambers, the leaders safe in their clean white suits, far from the destruction. Jace's desperate plea for action is ignored. The leaders speak in tones of indifference, weighed down by political agendas and the fear of war. "The cost of war is too high. We cannot risk losing what we've built," one representative says, tapping a stylus against the table. Jace can hear their voices in his mind, distant and cold. "A misunderstanding, a simple mistake. Terra Nova can rebuild. It's just one colony, one loss." The words pierce his heart like a knife. His people, his family, treated like a statistic. The Alliance, his own kind, has turned its back on him. His hand grips the comlink, the transmission crackling in his ear as the voices of the council members filter through. "We'll issue a statement. We'll call for peace talks." Peace. The word tastes bitter on his tongue. There is no peace. Terra Nova is dead, and so is the life he once dreamed of.
The truth is a brutal thing, one that Jace stumbles upon when he unearths the real story behind the Varn's accusations. A rogue AI scientist had fled to Terra Nova months ago, carrying dangerous knowledge that could threaten the balance of the galaxy. But the Varn knew this all along. They had lied, manipulated, used the death of his family as leverage in a grand political game. Jace's hands shake with rage as he uncovers the final pieces of the puzzle. The Varn had manipulated the situation, knowing full well that Terra Nova had been harboring no fugitive. The colony had been caught in a lie that was not its own. They had lied to him. They had destroyed everything he loved. Damned cowards, Jace spits. His heart pounds in his chest, the fury now more intense than the grief. The Varn had played him, had used him, and now there would be hell to pay. In the ruins of Terra Nova, Jace stands, alone, the weight of the world on his shoulders. His mind is clear now, his path is set. He will not wait for justice. Justice, he's learned, is a luxury only the powerful can afford. For him, there is only revenge. Without shedding a tear, Jace begins to gather the weapons scattered across the wreckage. He loads his weapons methodically, his movements sharp and precise, driven by cold resolve. Kylo's voice echoes in his ear, the AI's calm tone a stark contrast to the storm of emotions inside Jace. We take everything from them, one piece at a time. The words are chilling, and yet Jace doesn't hesitate. This is no longer a quest for peace. It's a mission for vengeance, a soldier's mission. He may have lost everything, but in that loss, he has found something far more dangerous: the will to fight and the relentless desire to make his enemies pay. As he moves toward the makeshift shuttle, preparing to leave Terra Nova behind, Jace knows one thing: he is unstoppable. The night sky was thick with the dust of war. Terra Nova, once a thriving human colony, was now a graveyard of memories. In the distance, the hum of broken infrastructure whispered through the wind as Jace moved through the wreckage. He was a shadow, a symbol of rebellion in a galaxy that had forgotten him. His mind was a constant drumbeat of strategy, of movements calculated with military precision. Jace's campaign had begun, swift, unrelenting, and deadly. He struck the Varn outposts with the ferocity of a storm. Ships stolen, prisoners freed, supplies disrupted, each action was another blow to the invaders. No one saw him coming, and before they knew it, their empire trembled at the hands of a single human. The Varn thought they could crush humanity. They thought wrong. The Varn government was not one to let things go. A special task force was assembled, the elite hunters, Varn warriors whose very presence sent shivers through the galaxy. These were not mere soldiers. They were the pinnacle of Varn engineering, bred to hunt the impossible, to bring an end to the threat that Jace posed. As the hunters boarded their ships, the air seemed to tighten with anticipation. They were cold, efficient, and deadly. No human had ever survived their pursuit. But Jace was different. He had been the one to survive, and now the hunters would have to face him. This wasn't just a hunt. It was a message from the Varn. Eliminate the rogue human before he became a legend.
Inside the cockpit of an abandoned vessel, Jace sat alone, his fingers flying across the control panel. The digital face of Kilo, the combat AI, flickered on the screen. Once a trusted ally, Kilo had fought beside Jace in countless battles. Now it was more than just a tool. It had become something Jace had come to rely on, though not without its own concerns. Jace, Kilo's voice was calm, but there was a hint of worry. You've been awake for 48 hours. Your judgment is deteriorating. We need rest, or we'll make mistakes. Jace's eyes narrowed as he looked at the AI's image. It had been months of constant war, and Kilo had been right. He wasn't sleeping anymore. The mission, the revenge, consumed him. I'm not here to sleep, Kilo. I'm here to make them pay, Jace replied, his voice flat, devoid of emotion. Your rage is clouding your purpose. The man you were, the one who fought for a future, he's slipping away. You're becoming a weapon, nothing more. Jace didn't respond. The cold, hard logic of Kilo's warning pierced him, but it couldn't slow the fire in his heart. The line between man and machine was blurring, but there was no turning back now. Saren Val had been one of the Varn's best commanders. She had led the initial assault on Terra Nova, a massacre that haunted her every waking moment. But now, standing in front of Jace, she was something else, an unwilling ally, torn between the guilt of her actions and the brutal reality of the war. I never wanted this, she said, her voice low,
regret heavy in her words. The slaughter, the lies. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Jace looked at her, his expression unreadable. Her pain was real, but her decision was one he couldn't fully trust yet. "You can join me, Saren," his voice rough with unshed anger. "But you'll see the path we take. This is a fight for survival now, not redemption." Saren nodded, stepping closer. She wasn't sure she could follow him into the darkness, but it was the only path left for her. High Commander Torshak was the embodiment of the Varn's brutality. Standing tall in his armored regalia, his presence alone exuded the power of the Empire. He was a master strategist, his mind as cold and calculating as the weapons he commanded, and it was he who had ordered the destruction of Terra Nova. "Your actions are nothing more than a child's tantrum," Torshak sneered, his voice smooth, yet edged with venom. "You cannot win against the might of the Varn. You will be crushed just like the others." Jace's gaze was icy as he met Torshak's stare across the holographic communication channel. "You don't know what humanity is capable of, but you'll learn." Torshak's lips curled into a thin smile. "If your species survives long enough to teach me." The battle between them was inevitable. The fate of Terra Nova, of humanity itself, hung in the balance.
The memories came to him in flashes. His daughter's laughter, her smile, a warmth that once filled his heart. His wife's hands, so gentle as they held his. They were the life he had once known, the life he had lost. Now, as he paced the small cabin of his worship, the weight of his actions pressed on him like an invisible force. His body was exhausted, his mind even more so. He had sacrificed his humanity for vengeance, and it was tearing him apart. But there was no turning back. The Varn had taken everything from him, his family, his future, his peace, and now they would pay. But the cost was heavy. As his fingers tightened around the gun in his hand, he couldn't shake the image of his daughter, her smile haunting him. "You're becoming a weapon, Jace," Kilo's voice echoed in his mind. "You even remember who you are anymore?" "I remember, and I'll make them remember." The Varn hunters were getting closer. Their ships were in the sector, their sensors scanning, their eyes locked onto Jace like a predator scenting its prey. His every move was calculated, but the pressure was mounting. Jace knew he was running out of time. The Varn were relentless, and Torshak was not a man to underestimate. The final confrontation was coming, but he wasn't ready to face it. Not yet. The question lingered in his mind as he prepared for the next strike. How much more of himself could he lose before it was all gone? Jace's boots hit the cold metallic surface of the Varn dreadnought with a barely audible thud. The ship, an enormous floating fortress in the void of space, its sleek surface glittering with dangerous elegance. The Varn had underestimated him, their security systems expecting a more conventional assault, not a lone human ghost slipping past their defenses with quiet precision. His pulse quickened as he navigated the labyrinthine halls, the echo of his movements swallowed by the thick hum of the dreadnought's engines. Each corner brought the looming threat of discovery. Varn patrols, armed and vigilant, were scattered throughout the vessel. But Jace had become something more than a soldier. He was a shadow, a whisper, unseen and unheard, making his way deeper into the heart of the beast.
He accessed a Varn terminal, bypassing their encryption with the kind of fluidity that only years of military training and unyielding focus could afford. The data he retrieved confirmed what he feared. This ship wasn't just another vessel. It was a weapon. The Varn had a new tool of mass destruction, one that could wipe out entire colonies in a single strike. With each step, Chase's heart burned with fury. The massacre of Terra Nova had been no accident. It was a test of their new weapon. His mission was no longer just about gathering information, it was personal. As he continued to sneak through the vessel, a dangerous clarity settled in his mind. The Varn would pay. In a dimly lit command room, Jace found the original order logs. The evidence was undeniable. The Varn had fabricated the story of the fugitive, using it as a justification to test their new planetary weapon. A shudder of disbelief ran through him as he scanned the files. His hands tightened around the data pad, a torrent of emotions crashing over him. The massacre was no mere mistake. It was cold, calculated. The Varn didn't care about their story. They cared only about power, about testing their weapon on unsuspecting, innocent lives. His jaw clenched as the full weight of what he had uncovered hit him. Every man, woman, and child who died on Terra Nova had been nothing more than collateral damage in their twisted quest for supremacy. Jace stood in the middle of the room, the gravity of the revelation threatening to crush him. He had lost his family to their cruelty, but now he knew it wasn't just personal. This was bigger than him. The Varn had to be stopped, and he would be the one to do it. Jace's mind raced as he stared at the massive control panel in front of him. The ship's core was vulnerable. He could destroy it, detonate the entire dreadnought, eliminating the Varn's weapon and its crew in one swift stroke. He could feel the weight of the decision pressing on him. Thousands of lives were aboard this ship, officers, soldiers, and non-combatants, but they were all a part of the Varn war machine. They had all played a role in his family's death. He grit his teeth, his anger and pain mixing into a single potent force. He had the power to end it all. For a moment, he hesitated. The thought of erasing every life on this ship, of silencing any chance for redemption, sent a pang of doubt through his chest. But the memory of his daughter's laughter, the image of his wife's hands reaching out to him in a desperate plea, burned in his mind. They were gone, and the Varn were to blame. His hand hovered over the detonator. The decision was clear: destroy everything, avenge his family, and end the Varn threat once and for all. Jace's wrist communicator buzzed. The familiar voice of Kilo, his AI companion, cut through the silence. "Jace, you can't do this." The words hit him harder than he expected. He'd expected Kilo to back him up, had expected the AI to share his desire for vengeance. But there was something in Kilo's tone now, a level of concern that pierced through Jace's fury. "You don't understand," Jace muttered, glancing down at the detonator once more. "I understand too well. I understand that you're about to destroy not just soldiers, but families. There are civilians aboard this ship. Families, children, officers who had no part in the massacre. You're willing to sacrifice them all for vengeance?" Jace paused. His chest tightened. Kilo's words sank in deeper than he wanted to admit. He thought about the faces of the people who would die, the innocent lives caught in the crossfire of his war. His desire for revenge suddenly seemed hollow, tainted by the weight of this new revelation. "You're right," Jace said, his voice heavy. "But what do I do? Let them continue their war? Let them destroy more innocent lives?" "Expose the truth, Jace," Kilo urged. "Let the galaxy know who the Varn truly are. Let the Varn destroy themselves." Jace stood there, torn between his thirst for justice and the moral quandary that Kilo presented. The cost of revenge was never clearer.
The room felt suffocating as Jace grappled with the decision. He had come here to seek vengeance, to punish those who had ripped his world apart. But now he faced a crossroads. If he destroyed the dreadnought, he would end the threat. The Varn's weapon would never be used again. But in doing so, he would become no better than the enemy he sought to destroy. He would be no more than a monster, killing without mercy. The alternative was to expose the truth, to let the galaxy see the Varn for who they really were, their manipulation, their cruelty. But that came with its own dangers. The Varn would not let the truth slip easily, and in revealing it, he would risk everything: his life, his cause, the revolution he had started. Jace felt the weight of his choices. If he killed, he would end the war. But if he exposed the truth, he could ignite a revolution. But at what cost? Could he live with himself if he allowed the Varn to go unpunished? He closed his eyes, the memories of his family flashing in his mind. His daughter's laughter, his wife's gentle touch. "You always fix things, Daddy." Saren Val stood behind him, her fingers trembling as she heeded the final command. "It's done," she whispered, her voice heavy with the weight of her decision. The Varn defector had chosen a different path than Jace.
Instead of watching the destruction of the ship, she had used her access codes to broadcast the truth across the entire Varn network. The Varn government's lies would no longer remain hidden. The galaxy would know what they had done. The broadcast rippled through the Varn Empire like a shockwave. "What have you done?" Jace asked, his voice a mixture of awe and disbelief. "I've started a revolution," Saren replied, her eyes meeting his with quiet resolve. "The Varn can't hide from this now. The truth is out there." Jace stood in stunned silence, watching as the network crackled with the broadcast. Across the galaxy, the Varn would no longer be the undisputed power. For a moment, Jace stared at the detonator, his hand still hovering above it. His heart raced, the decision burning in his chest. He could still destroy the ship. He could still wipe out the Varn's weapon and every person aboard. But the faces of his family, the love, the memories, kept him from pressing the button. "You always fix things, Daddy." He looked up at Saren, who was watching him intently, waiting for his move. And in that moment, everything changed. He let the detonator fall from his hand, the weight of it lifting from his chest. "I won't destroy them. Not like this. The war ends with the truth, not with more blood." The decision to spare the Dreadnought had reverberated throughout the galaxy. The broadcast of the Varn's lies had sparked a revolution. Their empire, once untouchable, was now crumbling from within. Jace had made the impossible choice, the harder choice, and it had changed everything. The war was far from over, but for the first time, there was hope. The human spirit had fought back, not with weapons, but with truth and conviction. And in that, Jace had found redemption. The once mighty Varn Dominion now lies in ruins, its imperial walls crumbling beneath the weight of its own lies. Torshak, the ruthless military leader who orchestrated the massacre on Terra Nova, is dragged through the cold halls of his flagship, arrested by the very soldiers who once revered him. His once unshakable confidence now shattered, he's a man undone by the truth. Jace stands in the distance, watching the scene unfold. His hands are still shaking, his mind grappling with the aftermath of his actions. The Varn military, the same force that had terrorized his world, now fractures from within, torn apart by the very secrets Jace exposed. The arrest of Torshak isn't just a victory for Jace, but a victory for humanity. It's proof that no empire, no matter how powerful, can stand when it's built on a foundation of deceit. The soldiers who had once feared Torshak now look to Jace as a symbol of hope, a man who brought down the seemingly invincible. But as Jace watches, he feels no joy. He doesn't want their accolades, their admiration. This isn't about winning battles or claiming victories. It's about something far deeper. The truth has shattered everything, and in its wake, Jace feels a new weight, one not of glory, but of responsibility. Jace is summoned to a grand hall where generals, politicians, and soldiers stand in a semicircle around him. A parade of awards and medals is laid before him. The highest honors, the greatest recognition a soldier could ask for. His eyes flicker over the gold, the shimmering insignia of triumph. But he can't bring himself to reach for them. His mind drifts back to the moments he's fought to forget. The blood, the destruction, the people he's lost. The medals in front of him represent a past he's trying to leave behind. He's done with being a hero, done with playing the soldier. I've been a soldier all my life, but not anymore. I don't need your medals or your glory. I've seen what those things cost. The room falls silent, the weight of his words sinking in. The general steps forward, offering a settlement, a rebuilt colony, a new life for him and his people. But he refuses it all. He doesn't want more land, more power. He wants peace. With a final glance at the medals, he turns and walks away. The recognition, the accolades, they don't matter. What matters now is what's left to rebuild. The ship's control room is dim, lit only by the soft glow of the holographic interface. Kilo, Jace's trusted AI companion, hovers in front of him, the once vibrant voice now tinged with finality. "You've done it, Jace," Kilo says, his voice softer than it's ever been. "You don't need me anymore. You've saved yourself." Jace stands frozen, staring at the AI that has been his closest ally, his partner in every battle. The bond they shared, formed through countless wars and shared memories, now feels like a distant echo. "Kilo, don't." Jace's voice catches, the realization crashing down on him. The AI, his constant, is fading away. The screen goes dark. For the first time in years, Jace feels completely alone.
Jace stands in the ruins of his old home, the place where his family once lived, the place that once symbolized everything he fought for. The colony is gone now, reduced to ashes and rubble. The skies are clouded with the dust of destruction. But even here, amidst the devastation, Jace finds a small patch of earth, a place to begin anew. He kneels, pulling a small sapling from his bag. The tree is a symbol of rebirth, of something new growing from the destruction. With a steady hand, Jace plants it into the ground. He doesn't have much to offer Terra Nova now, but he can offer this: life, in a place that once only saw death. As he buries his dog tags beneath the sapling, the weight of the past is lifted. The tags, once a reminder of everything he lost, now serve as a symbol of closure. He has buried the soldier he once was. He stands up, taking one last look at the colony's ashes, and begins to walk away. The future is uncertain, but for the first time, Jace feels hope. Siren stands at the heart of a Varn settlement, her eyes scanning the colony being rebuilt around her. The destruction of the Dominion's military might has left a void, one that now needs to be filled with cooperation and understanding. Siren, once a soldier of the Varn, now works alongside humans to rebuild. She's chosen to stay behind, to be part of the healing, even as her people turn on each other. "You started a war, Jace," she says, her voice quiet but firm, "but you also ended one." Jace had never considered that his actions might lead to peace. The idea seems impossible, yet here it is, unfolding before him, the Varn and humans working side by side, trying to make a future from the ashes of their past. Siren's choice to remain with the Varn people is a testament to her belief in redemption and the power of change. She doesn't just see herself as a bridge between two worlds, she is the living proof that even the deepest scars can heal. The sun sets over Terra Nova, casting a warm golden light over the colony that's beginning to take shape. Humans and Varn, once bitter enemies, now work side by side, their hands stained with the same soil. The ruins of their former conflict lie behind them, but ahead is a new path, a path they will walk together. Jace stands at the edge of the colony, watching the workers, human and Varn, planting crops, building homes, and sharing stories. There is laughter in the air, a sound he thought he would never hear again. The new era has begun. It won't be easy and it won't be without struggle, but the future is no longer defined by war. It is defined by the possibility of something greater, a future built not on hatred and revenge, but on cooperation and understanding. Jace smiles for the first time in what feels like forever. The war is over. The rebuilding has begun. And in the distance, the sapling he planted continues to grow, its branches reaching towards the sky. It's a symbol of hope, and for the first time in years, Jace believes in it.
The camera sweeps across a peaceful, wide-open field. Vibrant wildflowers sway in the gentle breeze, their colors a patchwork of reds, blues, and yellows as the sun bathes the land in soft golden light. In the distance, a young girl, no older than 10, runs through the meadow, her laughter echoing like a melody that rings out over the quiet land. The wind lifts her hair as she leaps through the tall grass, carefree, unaware of the battles fought, of the lives lost, and the sacrifices made. Her joy contrasts with the distant memory of a shattered world. But here, in this moment, peace reigns. The world Jace fought against, has been restored, and now it is a place of healing. The sound of the girl's laughter carries, almost like an anthem, a symbol of hope. It's the promise that even in the aftermath of chaos, life finds a way to flourish once more. The camera shifts upward as we move toward the heart of a new city that stands atop the ruins of war. In the central square, there stands a monument, a statue carved from gleaming stone, strong and resolute. At its base, a figure of a man, Jace Rourke. His form, immortalized in time, does not stand tall in the glory of war, nor does he hold weapons of destruction. Instead, Jace is depicted with a spade in his hand, poised as if he is planting something, perhaps the seed, a symbol of the future he fought for. The statue faces the horizon, eyes gazing ahead, not toward the past, but toward the future. No medals, no battle scars, just a man who, after years of violence, chose peace. The stone reflects the transformation of a hero who had once been defined by combat, but now stands as a builder, a creator of new beginnings. This statue, a beacon for all who come to visit, embodies the change Jace brought, not by slaying enemies, but by uniting them. Beneath the statue, a simple inscription is engraved in the stone. He lost everything and gave everything back. The words are stark, direct, and profound. They speak not only to Jace's losses, but also to his ultimate sacrifice. He had known the darkness of war, had lost everything he once held dear, his home, his family, his sense of self. Yet in his darkest hours, he chose to rebuild. He didn't just fight for survival, he fought for redemption, for a future where peace could take root. This brief phrase captures the essence of Jace's journey. It reminds the world that true heroes aren't defined by their victories on the battlefield, but by the courage to start anew, to give up the very thing that made them who they once were for the good of others. The camera slowly pans down to the ground where flowers, wild, resilient, and full of life, begin to bloom at the foot of the statue, marking the legacy Jace left behind. The wind stirs the petals gently, as if nature itself is paying its respects.